minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, X minus 1. Fire.
Lights out, everybody. The creaking door.
Dimension
Inner Sanctum Mystery.
X minus 1.
Dark fantasy.
Hello everyone, welcome to Sci-Fi and Horror, brought to you by Dwayne Old Time Radio. Sci-Fi and Horror features some of the best programs from the golden age of radio, including X-1, Orbiter X, Dimension X, Slot X's, Lights Out, Ray Bradbury, Dark Fantasy, and many, many more. Before we start today's sci-fi and horror thriller, if you enjoy what I'm doing, let me ask you to subscribe to my channel. Subscribing is 100% free, and you will receive notifications on new posts. Lastly, if you have a moment, please write a short 1 or 2 sentence review or give a rating on your preferred podcast service. A positive review or rating would help me out a lot. And now, on to the show. And again, thank you for your support. Hope you enjoy. Let's start February with Adventures and Research. The first episode of 2 is Mariah Coventry. That's the 7th episode, March 16th, 1943. Then we're going to end it with The Man Who Found a Continent. The 8th episode, now on aired, March 23rd, 1943.
Adventures in Research. A woman's life has become one of dignity and comparative ease, thanks to the miraculous, labor-saving devices that science has provided for the efficient operation of her home. Time was only 150 years ago when a woman raised a large family, ran the home, and endured long hours of exhausting work without the benefit of electric ranges, refrigerators, washing machines, vacuum cleaners, and the 1,001 modern-day inventions that make a woman's life easier and happier. Time was when a woman had to face the drudgery of pioneer life with only her 2 hands and a strong will. This is Paul Shannon bringing you another transcribed story of science, produced as a public service in cooperation with the Westinghouse Research Laboratories. And today bringing you the story of Mariah Coventry, a pioneer woman.
My name is Mariah Coventry. I was born in 1840 in a little town in Vermont. My father was a wealthy manufacturer, and he loved to entertain his friends. I had every luxury that a girl my age could want. But my real desire was to marry Clayton Coventry, a hand at my father's mill. Clayton was a hard-working boy, but my father wanted me to marry among our own class. So I had to meet Clayton secret-like when my folks wouldn't miss me.
Mariah, I thought you'd never get away.
Oh, Clayton, I don't dare stay long. Father never took his eyes off me the entire evening.
Mariah, don't go back.
What do you mean, Clayton?
I spoke to Parson Rabb. He's waiting for us right now.
Us? Married? Tonight?
Tonight. And by tomorrow's sunup, we'll be heading for Illinois.
Illinois?
I got a letter today from my brother out in Peoria.
Oh, Clayton, I don't know what to do.
Do what's in your heart, Mariah. I know it won't be easy. I can't give you the luxuries your father can. In Illinois, life will be hard, We'll have to build our own home from the ground up, build our own furniture and utensils. We'll have to work from sun up to sundown. But I promise you, Mariah, it'll be a full, good life. What do you say?
Say? Why, we mustn't keep Parson Rab waiting. It was a long trip from Vermont to northern Illinois. We went by boat as much as possible, then by ox cart over mountains and plains.
Mariah, see that hill? Let's build our new home up there.
Oh, Clay, couldn't we build down in the valley?
Nope. We're going to build out in the sunshine, where it'll be warm and healthy for our children to play. Go on there, you slowpokes. Go on. Can't you see we're almost home now?
And build we did, right up on top of the hill. It was a beautiful spot in a grove of trees. Of course, there were lots more trees than nowadays. We cut them down to build our log cabins. All the men neighbors came to help, to cut down those big trees, to make them into logs, then split the logs into boards. We women folk couldn't help much with the hard labor, but we did cook up good hearty meals that the men loved.
The meat should be about ready, Mariah.
It smells good to me, Mrs. Jones. Of course, I never did much cooking back home in Vermont. Thanks for showing me.
Oh, land sakes, child. 'Twon't be long before you'll know all there is to it. Get your man to build you a good fireplace with a chimney that'll draw. Use hardwood. That gives the best coals. You know, food tastes better when cooked over coals. Now make sure your iron pots hang right over the hottest coals, and that's all there is to it.
Oh, Mrs. Jones, I feel so helpless.
Oh, don't let it worry you none, child. Life is pretty hard out here, but put your back to it, and with the help of the Lord, you and your man will pull through somehow. You men, drop your work. Supper's ready.
In late fall, we moved into our new home, our cabin. For the first time, I learned what a woman's place was in making a home. I had to make candles for light, the soap from fat and lye ashes. I learned to spin to make cloth, to tend chickens and feed the pigs, to make my own clothes and Clayton's, to cook and pump water from the well, to cut wood. Yes, and tend babies. A family of 10 young ones was common hereabouts, and children brought more problems.
I guess we'll have to make the garden a mite larger next year, Mariah. All these small mouths to feed, we'll be needing lots more food.
The more children, the more garden. The more garden, the more work.
I know, Mariah. Back in Vermont.
Back in Vermont, Clayton, I was just a pampered, lazy girl. Now I haven't time to worry about dances and dresses and such. I have a rich life now, Clayton.
Bless you, Mariah.
And then my life that seemed to be running so smoothly suddenly changed. It was the Civil War. At first I convinced Clayton that we needed him at home. But by 62, he began to worry.
It's like the president says, Mariah. A house divided can't stand. This war was supposed to last 3 months. Now look at it.
But, Clayton, what will happen to me and the young ones? Who will run the farm?
I won't go till after harvest. The war won't go on, Mariah. I'll be back for spring planting.
I pray so.
You see that I got to go, Mariah. It's my duty.
Yes, I suppose it's your duty. 2 long years he was away. 2 long years. And I, the woman of the house, planted and harvested the crops, same as all the other women whose men had gone away to war. And then one day, Clayton returned.
Mariah! Mariah! You look wonderful.
Oh, Clayton. I'm so happy I don't know what to say.
When I was out there, I wondered how you were getting along back here alone on the farm, Mariah. And now that I'm back, I'm afraid I won't be much good. Not much help.
Don't you worry none, Clayton. We'll manage. And so it was. My husband came back from the wars, but not like he left. Somewhere out there, a bullet ruined his left arm, and he had to leave part of it behind. And life took up where we had left off before Clayton went away. The children grew bigger, and the house had to be enlarged. This time we got fine boards from the mill at Solon, and we didn't need neighbor help. No, we had our own help right in our own house.
We haven't much more to do, have we, Father?
Nope, son. Next time this week, we'll be living in our new house. Mighty fine-looking house it is, too, if you ask me.
Yes, a fine one it was, with both a front and back door to it, and large windows in every room that let the sunshine pour in. Yes, it was a fine house. But Clayton didn't enjoy it for very long.
Mother, with Dad gone, I guess it's up to me to carry on now.
Yes, son. Your father would want it that way. It's your farm now.
Don't worry, Mother. I won't disappoint you. We'll spread out a bit and clear out more pasture land and put more under cultivation.
More land, William? Are you sure you can handle it all?
It's easy today, Mother. Why, with all the new machinery coming in, farming's getting easy.
Ah, machinery. Reapers, harvesters, mowers. No more strained backs using the sickle. Soon even the scythe was set aside. Yes, life was changing, and fast. Then one day, William came home and told me.
Mother, this is Ellen.
How do you do, Mrs. Coventry? I hope you don't mind about William and me.
Mind? Of course I don't mind, Ellen. William had to get married sometime, and I'm real glad he picked a nice, pretty girl like you. And you look real strong and healthy, too. Even then, a woman had to be strong and healthy. There was still plenty of hard work to do. The chickens and the livestock and the milking. But then there were compensations. Kerosene lamps now, no more candlelight. Trains bringing in things like shiny new dishes and store-bought cloth. We women went more and more into town, shopping in the general stores. But we still did our own canning and took care of the garden. There were schools now for the children. They were getting educated, their heads filled with new ideas. And one by one my children grew up and left the farm.
But, Mother, we've got a fine house over at Woodstock. In the wintertime, we have steam heating. You wouldn't have to hug that old coal stove to keep warm. What do you say? Come live with us.
But I didn't want to leave the farm. I was getting along, and the farm was the only home I knew since leaving Vermont. My eldest son, William, was running the farm, and his wife, Ellen, had sort of taken over.
Now, Mother Coventry, you needn't go out. Let the children hunt the eggs and hoe the garden. You stay by the fire and keep warm. Don't forget, you're not so young anymore.
She was right. I was getting along in years, and the years were flying. And then another president said that we had to go to war to save our democracy.
But, Pa, I feel it's my duty. Well, I haven't anything against your going, John, but well, who's going to help me run the farm?
Oh, Grandma ran it all alone when Grandpa went away. You told me so yourself.
Yes. I guess I'll have to manage without you, son. Go in and explain to your mother.
He went off like my Clayton did, and the day came when he, too, returned. No, he didn't lose any arm, but he coughed something terrible. Gas, they called it. But we finally got him better. Lots of sunshine and fresh milk and vegetables. But John never seemed to have his grip anymore. He tired quickly working in the fields. And pretty soon he came to his father.
The government has offered me a chance to study, Dad, and I thought maybe I'd better study mechanics or engineering. Engineering's becoming more and more important every day.
And John was right. Everywhere you looked, you saw its results. Milking machines and pumping machines, automobiles and tractors, and newfangled inventions like telephones and electric lights and goodness knows what else. Every day it was something new. Yes, a way of life gradually fading away. A life of handwork and long hours, changing into another way of life, made easy and comfortable by the blessings of new machines and power to run them. Yes, my old eyes saw it all the miracles of modern science that made a great industrial America. I saw them all come to pass.
And that's today's Adventures in Research, produced in cooperation with the Westinghouse Research Laboratories. These programs are broadcast to the Armed Forces personnel overseas through the facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Join us again next week for another transcribed story of science on Adventures in Research. Adventures in Research. Discoveries sometimes start in strange ways. For example, the first United States exploring expedition ever fitted out had at least some of its roots in the agitation a few years previously of a retired Army captain who believed that the Earth was hollow. This is the story of Lieutenant Charles Wilkes and the continent of Antarctica. This is Paul Shannon bringing you another transcribed story of science produced as a public service in cooperation with the Westinghouse Research Laboratories. And today telling you the story of the man who found a continent. Our story begins on the 27th day of January, 1823, in the lobby of the House of Representatives.
Did you say to the center of the Earth, Johnson? He wants to send an expedition to the center of the Earth?
That's right, Farrelly.
Ridiculous. What makes him think there's anything at the center of the Earth? Or that an expedition could get there if we did send it?
Captain Sims has been carefully developing his theory since 1818, almost 5 years now. He says he has reason to believe that the center of the Earth is hollow. Now, he presented this petition to the first session of the Senate last March. Oh, here it is. A petition stating his belief of the existence of an inhabited concave to this globe. And further...
He has people living there, too.
And vegetation.
Ridiculous. Johnson, it's ridiculous.
Let me continue, Farrelly. His desire to embark on a voyage of discovery to one or other of the polar regions. His belief in the value and great honor to his country of the discoveries which he would make.
You mean to stand there and tell me that Captain Sims actually believes that the center of the Earth is hollow and inhabited, Johnson?
He does. Now, in his theory of concentric spheres, Captain Sims also says that the interior of the Earth is lighted by 2 suns, and that this interior region may be reached through 2 openings in the Earth's surface. One near the North Pole at about 82 degrees latitude, the other near the South Pole.
This Captain Sims is out of his mind.
Well, he has repeatedly invited Baron von Humboldt and Sir Humphrey Davy to descend to the Earth's interior through these holes. So far, they've not accepted. No discoverer has as yet ventured that far into the polar regions, either north or south. Sims' first petition, last March, was tabled. But he is again requesting that the government of the United States fit out an expedition to explore the interior of the hollow earth. I shall present that petition.
Well, don't count on me to back it, Johnson. The whole thing is preposterous.
The chair now recognizes Mr. Johnson of Kentucky. Your petition, Mr. Johnson.
What is it?
To the Honorable the Senate and House of Representatives in Congress assembled, the petition of the subscribing citizens respectfully showeth that, in our opinion, both the national honor and public interest may be promoted by the equipment of an exploring party for the purpose of penetrating the polar regions beyond the limits at present known. And it is our further opinion that Captain John Cleves Sims, late of the United States Army, who professes to have originated a new theory of the earth, which may be verified by a voyage to the north, will be a suitable person to be entrusted with the conduct of such an expedition. We therefore pray Congress to pass a law granting an exploring outfit in conformity to our memorial, and thereby at once subserve the cause of philosophy and the earnest wishes of your constituents.
Mr. Johnson.
I move that the petition of Captain Sims be referred to the Committee on Foreign Relations.
Mr. Speaker!
The gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Farley.
Are you gentlemen aware of the fact that this theory of Captain Sims states that the center of the earth is hollow and inhabited by living beings? This is the land he would have us explore. This is what Mr. Johnson would have us support. I move that the petition be tabled.
Mr. Speaker, I hope that Captain Sims' petition will not be laid on the table. The memorial here presented has many respectable signatures. Something useful might grow out of the investigation of it.
Mr. Speaker!
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Archer.
Mr. Speaker, it strikes me that the object of those presenting the paper is probably to establish a commerce with the interior inhabitants. May I therefore suggest the propriety of referring the petition not to the Committee on Foreign Relations, but to the Committee on Commerce?
Mr. Speaker, may I ask a question about these interior inhabitants to which the gentleman from Virginia refers? Does he mean the inhabitants of a new land in the usual meaning of the word? Or does the gentleman refer to those of whom Captain Sims speaks so earnestly? The interior inhabitants of the center of the earth.
Gentlemen, the question before the House is whether the petition shall be referred to the Committee on Foreign Relations. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion defeated.
The Hollow Earth expedition was never fitted out, but the polar regions it referred to were to be heard from soon again. This was a time of expansion and discovery. New England whalers had established a base in the important seal hunting grounds of the Shetland Islands. It was vital that the United States better know this mysterious region at the bottom of the world. In 1818, the same year that Captain John Cleves Sims first broached his unusual theory of the hollow earth, a young New York boy was made midshipman in the United States Navy. 18 years later, when the Sims petition to Congress for a polar expedition was all but forgotten, a later Congress did appropriate funds for just that type of voyage. And that same New York boy, now Lieutenant Charles Wilkes, accepted command of this, the first scientific expedition ever fitted out by the United States government. And as Wilkes read his orders,
"You will proceed to explore the southern Antarctic to the southward of Powell's Group, and between it and Sandwich Land, endeavoring to reach a high southern latitude. You will take all occasions not incompatible with the great purposes of your undertaking to extend the bounds of science and promote the acquisition of knowledge.
In August 1838, a little fleet sailed from Hampton Roads, Virginia, bound for uncharted southern waters. By February, the group had set up a base of operations in Tierra del Fuego on the frigid southern tip of the American continent.
Captain Maine reporting.
Oh, sit down, Maine.
Yeah, thank you.
Now then, Maine, how's the condition of the Porpoise?
Why, good as could be expected, I'd say. She wasn't much of a ship to start out with.
I know that, Maine. Neither were the others. But we're here now, and we're going to make it the rest of the way. How about the Seagull?
Her captain reports the men are restless, sir. They're looking for activity soon.
They'll get it, and plenty of it. We sail to the east tomorrow. Log of the ship Vincennes for the 3rd day of March, 1839. Explorations to the east completed, and base established in the Shetlands. And now we sail south, build away at daylight, and stood for Palmerland. At 6:30 we made land, which I take to be Mount Hope, the eastern point of Palmerland. After extensive explorations, we arrived at the port of Sydney for supplies. December 16th, 1839. The Vincennes, Peacock, Porpoise, and Flying Fish sailed today from Sydney after a welcome rest. The day is bright and warm. January 10th, 1840. The gales continue. The warm summer of Sydney is far behind us. Today a fog arose in the south. We made anchor on a small island, and after securing, I received a visit from Maine of the Porpoise.
It's about the men, Lieutenant. They can't put up with this weather and exposure much longer. This snow and cold and fog.
Yes?
Well, sir, it's physically dangerous to keep these men exposed anymore. Their clothing and equipment are inadequate. It's a wonder they aren't all abed now. Keep this up much longer, and you'll not have enough well men to sail even one ship out of this frozen desert. As medical officer of this expedition...
As commanding officer of this expedition, I make the decisions.
But we've been a year now in this cold.
And we'll be another year if need be. My orders are to explore, and explore I shall. We've seen enough now, Maine, to make me suspect this might be a continent we skirt and not an isolated group of islands. We're going to sail on until we have proof. Those are your orders.
For 1,600 miles and more, Wilkes and his crew sailed along the ice barrier. It was continuous, uninterrupted. Here was proof enough that this was truly a continent.
January 30th, 1840, at Piner Bay in the land of the Antarctic Circle. I make this bay in longitude 140 degrees, 2 minutes, 30 seconds east. Latitude 66 degrees, 45 minutes south. And now that I am convinced of its existence, I give this land the name of the Antarctic continent.
I have here a communication to the Secretary of the Navy, addressed from Sydney, New South Wales, March 11th, 1840. It is a report from Lieutenant Charles Wilkes, advising on the success of an expedition which this body authorized and for which it appropriated funds. It says, "It affords me great gratification to report that we have discovered a large body of land within the Antarctic Circle, which we named the Antarctic Continent. And I refer you to the report of our crews and accompanying charts enclosed herewith."
Remarkable achievement, Farrell, remarkable. I'm proud I had the foresight to support it. This Captain Sims had something.
Johnson, this wasn't the Sims expedition.
Yes, he had something. Remarkable theory. Remember it like it was yesterday. Hollow Earth, openings into it from the South Pole.
I was saying, Johnson, they've disproved that old Sims theory. Lieutenant Wilkes wasn't
Now
involved.
that they've found the place fairly, I'll get together a bill to authorize exploring it. Foresight, that's the ticket. Wonder what those people down there are really like, eh?
Oh, no.
Little could John Cleve Sims have dreamed, as he propounded his novel theory of the hollow earth, that someday, within a few years of his final petition to Congress, the United States would send forth a polar expedition, finding not a gateway to the center of the globe, but proof of a new continent at the bottom of it, in a daring adventure in research. And that's today's Adventures in Research, produced in cooperation with the Westinghouse Research Laboratories. These programs are broadcast to Armed Forces personnel overseas through the facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Join us again next week for another transcribed story of science on Adventures in Research.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy what I'm doing, I ask you to please subscribe to my channel or channels. Well, hope you enjoyed, and until next time, stay safe, wish you well, peace.